Fall Guys, Among Us, which one is better, and how did they shape 2020 in gaming? Without further ado, let's start with Fall Guys and find out why they were both the most successful and most disappointing games of 2020.
Now, as many of you guys will know, it came out August last year as part of the PlayStation Plus free games for that month. And I think it's a huge factor as to why it was so successful. Pretty much everyone that plays PlayStation Online with their friends will have PlayStation Plus, as it's required to do so. So including it as part of the free games for that month meant almost everyone that owns a PlayStation got the game for free. And the game was in a strange way a battle royale, which was at the time a huge craze and arguably now still is, mixed with everyone's favourite childhood game shows like Takeshi's Castle and Wipeout. And honestly, the fact that it did that alone made it so successful. But on top of that, the cartoonish style which propelled games like Fortnite to the top of everyone's lists also helped do so. The fact that just from the get-go the game looked so appealing to mass audiences meant that anyone, whether you're a kid, an adult, someone that's not even a gamer, were more likely to pick up and play the game just because of how fun and easy to play it looked, just like Fortnite. So when you mix the fact that the game was free for everyone on PlayStation who has PS Plus, which is pretty much the majority of PlayStation owners, partnered with the fact that it's an accessible, cartoonish game that mixes some of everyone's favourite things, and even then, on top of that, the fact that it caters to the Battle Royale craze immediately set this game up to be one of the most successful games of 2020. Now, I just want to quickly dive into the company that made this game, Mediatonic. Now, they were founded all the way back in 2005, but this is only their second game that they've ever made. Now, if you go and snoop a bit on their Wikipedia, which I did, you can find that they have technically made a lot of games in the 16 years since they were created, with their first game, Snowman Salvage, coming out all the way back when they were founded in 2005. However, as you scroll down the list, for the first 5 years, all of their games were made exclusively for the web, and then since then, all the games have been made for iOS and Android. Having successfully made mobile games for so long, they were eventually picked up by Microsoft and were asked to make games such as Secrets and Treasure, which I must admit I'd never heard of. But then in 2017 they made Fable Fortune. Now, I know this might all sound really irrelevant to a game like Fall Guys, but this game in particular was crucial to the creation of Fall Guys. Their partnership with Microsoft then led to them in 2019 making Gears Pop, which again, I hear you saying, Gears Pop, I've never played that game in my life, and I do agree with you. It is an irrelevant game, however, in the company's history, it's probably their most crucial. And upon being revealed at E3 under Devolver Digital, Sony decided to buy the exclusive rights to have the game on console, with it later being added as a PS Plus exclusive for August. So funnily enough, Xbox helped Sony make their biggest game release of 2020. Now, Mediatonic are only a small little indie company, and they only began developing the game in 2018, where the game originally was meant to be called Fool's Gauntlet, and the original pitch featured 100 players competing in a battle royale which composed of physical challenges. And because at the time games like Fortnite were so popular, the Battle Royale pitch was immediately moved to the foreground of the company's project. months. I think one of the maddest things about this game was only 30 people worked on it during the initial prototype development. 30 people made one of the biggest games of 2020, and this is a theme throughout 2020. The two biggest games of the year were made by such small groups of people. The game initially was meant to have 100 players, but they eventually whittled it down to just 60, due likely to both constraints of consoles and budget, but as well as the fact that 100 players was seen to be a bit too frantic and hard to decipher what was going on. The game is so joyous to play, at least when it first came out. And within 24 hours, the game had an active player base of 1.5 million players. And by the 10th of August, so just a week after it coming out, it had sold over 2 million copies. And obviously, because it was an indie game, those servers were overflown. And quite a lot of the time, when you were trying to play over the first couple of days, it was almost impossible to find a game, due to the fact the servers were just not prepared for the game to blow up to such an extent. Remember, this is only this company's second ever proper game, and it had 2 million players within the first week on Steam alone. Now, obviously over time this has become something that's got easily remedied. Mediatonic are aware of how big their game is now, and they've been able to buy more servers to cater for the demand. Speaking of demand, the popularity of the game caused certain companies to want to collaborate and create custom skins for the beans within the game, including limited time skins such as the Doom Guy and the Demogorgon from Stranger Things. I mean, you could even get Gordon Freeman from Half-Life. And by the end of the month, the game had become the most downloaded PS Plus game ever. And there have been some insanely good games on PS Plus. So, with all this factored in, the fun gameplay, the fun physics, the stupid costumes, the stylish but childish but still cool graphics and art style, the success that the game had both pre and post launch. Why is this only the second most popular game of 2020? I think the best place to start in answering that is to remember the C-bomb of 2020. Now, I'm not going to say the word because it will probably get me demonetized, even though I don't make money off of these. But C19. When everyone was stuck inside, and this was during the second lockdown when the game released in the United Kingdom, they wanted ways to socialise with their friends, and Fall Guys was the first game that came out the whole year where people were easily able to access it, especially on PlayStation. Even on Steam it was just £15 to buy. You could jump in, jump out, play for 10 minutes, play for 10 hours. And the whole time you could play with up to 3 other friends. Games such as Warzone had such success in 2020 purely because it was a new way to play COD with your friends for free. The game's success fell down to the fact that people were able to socialise with their friends and family in a time when they weren't able to do so in person, but it lived and died by its sword. The game released with content that was sufficient for its player base, but died almost as quickly because the post-launch had no extra content for the players to try out on a weekly or even monthly basis. Apart from getting the new skins, there was literally no reason for people to log in every day or every week and play the game consistently. Unless if, you wanted every skin in the game and you were a completionist. But the majority of the mainstream players weren't. Yes, the game was a phenomenon, but we didn't get any more content for a whole month, and even then, it was a medieval theme with 3 new levels that not many people enjoyed compared to the original base content of the game. Okay, so I log in on Season 2, and I don't really like the new levels. That's fine, there'll be a new season soon, right? No. For even a new level, I would then have to wait all the way till December 15th, and if I logged in December and didn't like the new levels then, I still am waiting for a new season. It's been 3 months for Season 3 and there's still no new maps, and that's where the game has lost interest for a lot of people. There just hasn't been enough content over the past couple of months. The game launched with little content, which is completely acceptable because it was made by such a small group of people. But as soon as it blew up, you had to know that to keep that player base, had to release content consistently that matched the quality of the content in the base game, and unfortunately, Mediatonic didn't. In September 2020, just a month after Fall Guys' release, it lost its crown to another addictive multiplayer experience. Among Us is an online murder mystery whodunit, not like Cluedo, but a sort of social deduction game where you and either 9 other friends or complete strangers are all thrust into an open world. You and 9 other players, whether they be friends or complete strangers, are thrust into a space-themed setting where you are surrounded by 1 or 2 imposters. The players are randomly assigned a role of either crewmate or imposter. The crewmates have to do the tasks on the spaceship to succeed, and the imposters have to interfere in every way possible to kill the crewmates and take over the ship. If crewmates can notice bodies on the ground, they're able to report them and hold meetings to help decide who the imposter is. The players can talk to each other via chat, in-game, or over Discord if they're playing together, and everyone has to plead their innocence, leading to false accusations and friendships that will be changed forever. Alright, all my stupid hyping up of the game. This game is honestly, it's so close, but it could be one of my favourite games of 2020. And it wasn't even released in 2020. It came out in June 2018, but reached popularity in 2020 due to the exact same reason why Fall Guys did. We were all stuck inside. We needed a way to communicate and have new experiences with our friends and family. And this was the best way to do it. Now, I'm not going to go as in-depth about Among Us, because if we're being totally honest, you have all played Among Us. If you haven't, what are you doing with your life? Where have you been? Where have you been? This game literally stole all the attention that Fall Guys had gained. Because of its lack of content, the whole player base pretty much moved from Fall Guys over to Among Us. If you watch Twitch in August, all the viewership was Fall Guys. And then in September, it was all Among Us. However, Among Us was able to hold on to that a bit longer. Now, I must admit it has lost popularity recently due to the fact that lockdown restrictions are starting to lift, people are starting to go back to their everyday lives. But in September 2020, it got 4 billion views on YouTube alone. On TikTok, it had over 13 billion related views in October. And in September alone, the game exceeded over 100 million downloads. Remember before when I was going on about Fall Guys and how it had 1.5 million? It didn't get 10 million until December, and in September alone, Among Us went from 0, well, not 0, but a couple of thousand, to 100 million downloads. At one point, this game had 1.5 million, the entire player base who played Among Us on its first day. At once, at one time, it had 1.5 million concurrent players. And then, by the end of the month, it got to 3.8 million. And now, the game suffered similar issues to Fall Guys, where the servers had huge issues because of this. However, they were able to fix it a bit quicker, as the servers were already prepared, as the developers could see exactly what was going to happen, and somehow Fall Guys, despite being released on PS Plus, the developers couldn't see this happening. Now, due to the popularity, Innersloth, the creators of the game, originally sort of toyed with the idea of creating a sequel. However, they quickly stopped any idea of that due to the fact of complaints that Among Us didn't have enough content. Are you seeing similar patterns here? Because I sure am. They cut all the content from Among Us 2 and have since decided that they're going to release all the content they were going to put in Among Us 2 into the original game. However, it fell into the exact same hole that Fall Guys did. Yes, at first, the game had content that we could chew into, and I believe that it lasted longer than Fall Guys to begin with, purely because of the variety of maps and situations that you could get yourself into. Fall Guys is just the same as COD or FIFA or GTA. If you keep doing the same thing over and over again, even if it's with friends, it's gonna get boring. However, everyone loves murder mysteries, trying to decide what's going on. The fun in Among Us isn't the gameplay, it's the situations you find yourself in and the arguments and conversations you have with friends and complete strangers trying to plead your innocence in this game. So the game lasted slightly longer to begin with because of that. It had popularity for around 2 or 3 months. However, since it started to dwindle off again now, and everyone has been begging for new maps, maybe new modes, new variations. The game's already quite customizable as it is in terms of rules. When a game only has 3 maps, no matter what the game is, no matter how fun it is, it's eventually going to get slightly tedious. It might take longer than games such as Fall Guys, but you're going to find yourself in the same situations, blaming the same people over again, doing the same things over again. It might take longer to do those situations multiple times, but it will eventually happen. However, lucky us, as of December they announced there's a new map coming sometime in 2021. Why? I don't want a Jeff Keighley skin. I do not care about that. Give me new maps, please. And they're releasing it on new consoles, to be fair to them, so I will give them that. The more consoles you have, the more players. Power to you. The fact that the game is so cheap as well, at about £3, and it's free on phones, goes a long way to helping the game have a slightly larger player base than Fall Guys. Fall Guys was 15 quid for people that weren't on PlayStation. I love Fall Guys, and 15 quid compared to £70 games that are coming out now isn't that bad. But it's still too expensive, in my opinion. When you look at the microtransaction heavy store, the game probably could have just been free on Steam as well, and that's why I feel Among Us was more successful. On top of the gameplay, it was very cheap. It wasn't too microtransaction based, and that's due to the fact it was such a small indie game. It was made by 3 people. The dude that made the game did the score. Just wow. Well done to you, whoever you are. Now, both the games received similar success critically, both having won indie awards, both had won a Golden Joystick and Game Award. They were that successful, and on top of that, they both received 8 out of 10 scores on Metacritic. They are so similar, yet one is regarded so much more highly due to the fact it just had that extra little something. And we both know what game that was. In summary, the reason why I've been talking about and comparing these games is to show that gaming is one of the best experiences we as people can have. It beats going to the cinema, it beats watching TV. It doesn't really beat sports, but it can. It can compare to all of them. It's the best way, especially in the world that we live in today, for us to communicate, interact and just have fun with each other. But the saddest part is, I think these two are the only examples we're going to have for a long time. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you'll be notified every single time that I go live or upload a brand new video. If you haven't already, give this video a like and let me know in the comments down below, which game did you prefer more? Which one would you like to see a comeback? And what was your favourite game of 2020? For me, The Last of Us Part 2. Now I'm going to get flack for that, but it just was. I'll explain why in my next video, so you guys will have to keep an eye out for that. Right, anyway, without further ado guys, I've been Dr. Kid 1. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.